I'm betting this will be one of my more controversial videos, and I'm no stranger to controversy, so I'd say that's really saying something. But keep in mind that I have no real hate towards Boogie or any of the people I'm going to talk about today. But I still think it's important to acknowledge the flaws with all of these people and go over their faults, which is exactly what I'll be doing today. Gone is the virgin Red Hoodie Turkey Tom, and here with us today is the Chad Suit Turkey Tom. Still not a turkey, and I have nothing to do with turkeys, but it doesn't matter, I don't actually care. Shut the fuck up, bye. In recent times, a number of popular, extremely well-respected, and pretty universally revered YouTubers have had the tide of public opinion turned against them in a matter of months. And while some have managed to redeem themselves, others have simply given up and accepted their fate as being hated amongst the masses.
I need to delete some pictures of myself playing naked.
I tend to keep up with the internet and all of its events and the drama going on, not only because I make videos about it and have an audience from analyzing and discussing this drama, but also because I find it genuinely interesting, and even if I don't make a video about everything that happens, as I didn't with H3 or Leafy, I still find it interesting and I personally enjoy watching it all go down. There's nothing quite like a nice trash fire, and honestly seeing how these internet personalities interact with others and make mistakes on the internet is entertaining as hell. But recently, I've seen the aforementioned tide of public opinion turning against one of the most well-liked creators online, and while he may not be the most popular creator around, or even one of the most popular, he's still one of the most well-connected figures in the YouTube community, and like everyone online, he is not above criticism. This is Boogie2988, gazing into the abyss.
How do they know you're fat?
I don't know how they know I'm fat! I'm a god!
Stephen Jason Williams was born on July 24th, 1974 in St. Paul, Virginia, a small town of less than 1,000 at the time. Boogie has been rather open about his personal life and his childhood, often detailing the number of hardships he faced as a child and teenager, as well as how his adulthood developed him as a person and led to his e-fame, as it were. At 44 years old, he's certainly on the older side of popular YouTubers who are still around today, and he's honestly been through a lot. One of his most popular videos on his channel is his Draw My Life video that was uploaded in 2013, and to this day, people are still commenting on his life and expressing the sympathy that they feel for him. He prefaces it by saying that it's a sad story as well, and rest assured, it certainly is.
People have asked me to draw my life story, and it's kind of sad, but I'd like to do that for you now.
I won't play it in its entirety because that would not only be boring, but you can always watch it yourself if you'd like. But I will briefly summarize it. Stephen was born on July 24th, 1974, to a coal miner father and a school teacher mother, as well as two siblings, one of which ran away from home at a young age. With a pretty miserable home life of an alcoholic father who eventually was put in a wheelchair permanently due to his vices, an abusive mother, and a sister that ran away from home, Stephen spent most of his time elsewhere focusing on things like comic books and video games. After meeting a number of friends and losing them, as well as taking a breakup rather hard, he dropped out of college and began spending his time in web design, learning computer programming. But unfortunately, this was also at a time when demand on web designers was decreasing in the early 2000s, and he was forced to basically subsist off of the income from his roommate until 2006, which is when he found YouTube.
Heading left? Is that the decision?
Still magical darkness?
Still magically dark. It's not magically creepy.
Looking at the early days of his channel, it was pretty mundane as most channels were and still are, making simplistic videos like how to play Magic the Gathering and spending time hanging out at a local comic book store talking to the employees and frequent customers.
To the MPIONCARD, to the S, to the gallery of the champion cards and blah.
These videos didn't rack up a very significant number of views, with most of them struggling to crack 300 views. According to his likes on YouTube, he also seemed to like Alanis Morissette, Tenacious D, and this weird Kiwi animation that I find oddly familiar, but I can't remember seeing it exactly. It wasn't until Boogie began to play his Francis character that he really became popular at all, quickly gaining traction, and with the help of Ray William Johnson of Equals3, who featured him in a video at the time.
This last video, I thought I had struck gold. Now the video itself is about this guy, Francis, and Francis loves playing World of Warcraft, but unfortunately for him, his account was hacked, and he's a tad bit upset about it.
Sorry, I've been crying a little bit tonight. I'm just really upset.
He quickly managed to gain a sizable audience on his channel. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems that we have discovered the absolute peak of comedy.
Ow!
You know, I just don't believe you're mad, Francis.
The video that Ray showed was titled Francis Gets His Warcraft Account Hacked, and honestly it's pretty tame when compared to a lot of Francis videos that have been created since then, and it's pretty tame in comparison to a lot of videos that have been released on YouTube today. But at the time it garnered a huge reaction from YouTube audiences, clocking in at nearly 5 million views. The Francis character would become what he was known for over the next few years, and really what helped garner his massive channel size, essentially being a satirical take on the stereotype of gamers being overweight neckbeards who are dumb and easily angered, hence why he seemed to throw tantrums all the time. A number of videos with Francis were released at the time, with video titles like Where's My Goddamn Mountain Dew, Francis Gets a New Furby, Francis Shows Off His Nerf Collection, Francis Is Alone on Thanksgiving, and Fat Guy Destroys Xbox. The, comedy in these videos usually comes down to a few things. 1. Yelling.
No! I'm restating the cruel fucking prank about my fucking weight!
2. Breaking things.
Murder! Crash!
3. Actually, there is no number 3, that's about it. Early YouTube really was a wonderful place. These videos became extremely popular on his channel, along with him uploading videos about gaming news and nerd culture, while not playing the Francis character, as just Boogie.
Alternatively, you can buy it online, get it through Amazon, or download it digitally.
But sometime in early 2016, his drama content was becoming more popular, with Leafy Is Here and Grade A Underrated at the height of their popularity, iDubbbz uploading a content cop more than once every 2 years, and Drama Alert just becoming a force to be reckoned with. He decided that it would be a good idea to dip his toes into the drama sphere. This was the beginning of the age of YouTube drama as we know it today, with larger YouTubers like PewDiePie, Markiplier, and Matthew Santoro all making videos seemingly in resistance of this new wave of drama-related content on the website, saying that YouTube had changed. And while it would take another year or two for PewDiePie to really start covering all of it, Boogie was making videos about these trends right away and garnered millions of views in the process. Now at the time, plenty of people began to call him a leech, explaining that because he didn't make drama content before, he was now essentially just a trend hopper and was selling out to YouTube drama culture as it had become prominent on YouTube at the time. And to that I say, every YouTuber changes their channel and style to conform to trends because they want to make videos about things that other people want to hear about. Even before Boogie was making videos about drama and he was making videos about gaming, he was making them about relevant games and gaming controversies with lots of people watching, and he was reaping the success off of the popularity of the topics that he was talking about. So why does that make him a leech now? Because you don't personally like the topics that are being discussed, or because you feel that you're above it? One of the first videos he made about YouTube drama, or rather the first huge video response he made, was a response to Matthew Santoro's abuse story where he talks about his own abuse. Now this video makes complete sense, and I totally see why he would respond to it, given the fact that he genuinely has something to add to the conversation.
I was the one that she was supposed to do it right, do it the way it was supposed to do.
That is not the case with all of his videos, however. In fact, in the majority of them, he either has the least offensive opinion and most shallow that you could possibly have on the topic, or he's playing the all too familiar role for him of the fence sitter. And this really is the main reason why I'm making this video, because I find these accusations against him rather interesting. One of the first examples that I was able to find was once again in regards to the bald list man himself, where Boogie made a video where he seemingly defended Santoro's plagiarism, who, if you remember, was stealing lists from different websites and making videos about them with no credit. Shortly after this video was uploaded, Boogie actually deleted it and uploaded a video discussing why it was taken down, which, to be honest, at the time I respected the hell out of, and I still do. I've certainly removed videos in the past that I don't agree with, and it's nice to see a YouTuber as large as him acknowledging that he did fuck up and that he had issues with his take on a situation. There's nothing wrong with knowing when you're wrong, and it's honestly a pretty admirable quality about him. And considering how Boogie uploads quite a few videos, it would be okay if this happened more than once. Maybe if it was 3, 4, 5, or 6 times that he had to apologize for a bad opinion that he threw out there, then this would be completely acceptable to me, and I wouldn't call him a fence sitter. Hell, no one would. But it's not just a handful of times. Since then, this has been happening all the time. And when I say all the time, I do mean fucking constantly. And even since Boogie has stopped making videos about YouTube drama, he still fucking does this all the time. Moving from YouTube to Twitter, we managed to find the biggest wealth of examples where Steven has done this. Recently, Boogie tweeted out about how he thinks people should face jail time for purposefully misgendering transsexuals, as he said here. I think if you are actually misgendering someone, it's a non-starter. If you're purposefully, angrily doing it, I think a slap on the wrist or a misdemeanor is well within order though. If it's actual hate speech, then go fuck yourself. Lock him up. Now obviously not a lot of people were happy with Boogie's take on this, and so as always, he started slowly backing away from his stance on the issue. Let me try that again. Tonight I discussed the UK hate speech laws that would affect trans people. I discussed both sides of the thing and presented possible arguments against it on stream. If you see clips from tonight's stream, do not be suckered into thinking it's real. In the replies, people began arguing with Boogie, and while at first he reaffirmed his stance, you can see him slowly buckling to pressure. At first, purposefully misgendering isn't okay in any context and people should be locked up for it. Then no one should go to jail at all, and he just had a bad take. And it's clear that he just buckled to public pressure, as the tweet before this one was this: "My original assessment of locking people up for verbal threats and stuff seems to have been unpopular. Boogie, what are you doing, you fucking idiot? Get a grip. You went from one extreme to another in a matter of hours." And here comes the main problem for Boogie really, and the root of why this happens time and time again. Because as I said before, this is not an isolated incident. Recently, Boogie commented on the Vox media scandal with Carlos Maza. Boogie fires off these hot takes at an insane pace, never really slowing down to think about about what he's saying. Anthony Fantano actually called him out for this, and instead of replying with a rebuttal, Boogie just got upset because Anthony called him a chiclet tooth hack. And of course, there I was with my epic meme reply.
There you go, kid. There you go. You big motherfucker.
This dude's Twitter is the biggest mess I've ever seen, I swear to God. And I don't think that Boogie is a centrist or necessarily that he's intentionally fence-sitting to pander to both sides. After seeing how this guy reacts online and watching a bunch of videos and researching the topic for this, I honestly just don't think that he's doing this on purpose, and I don't see his motives as malicious. He doesn't come across as a genuinely disingenuous, what a paradox that is, guy, and I think he does mean well with everything that he says. It just seems that based on a lot of his takes on Twitter and on his channel, he does have a good heart and he just wants the best for everyone in every situation, especially those who are being nice. He's a guy who has suffered a lot of hardship in his life, and I think he just sees everyone as a sympathy case who he wants to help based on their emotion. The problem with him isn't that he's evil, it's that he's dumb. Simple as that. He comes out on Twitter with all of these hot takes on issues he knows almost nothing about and should not be speaking on at all. He is not informed on any of the things that he discusses, hence why he ends up looking like an idiot and everyone says that he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's because he genuinely doesn't know what he's talking about, and he always tweets his gut response to any situation. And when it's not a gut response, it's a misinformed opinion that is completely unreasonable. I'm sure if most people tweeted like Steven did that they'd end up looking pretty foolish too. But most people don't, and I think he needs to get a grip on the fact that you can't please everyone. Not everyone will always be happy with you. You gotta stop being a pussy about your opinions. He discounts entire stances on issues because they have one minor flaw. Because Crowder has an offensive shirt, his entire side is wrong. Because Carlos and Vox Media's movement is going to harm everyone, they're just as wrong as Steven and no one side is right. When in reality, it's okay to side with narratives that you don't completely agree with. He casts out entire trains of thought and arguments on the premise that they have one issue, or because everything has its issues, that must mean that everything is equally worthless as well. When in reality, the way to decide which side of a situation is right is to account for which has the least amount of perceived flaws, and which shortcomings are actual problems and which are nitpicks. This is why he always looks like a fence sitter, because he has the strongest possible opinion at first. He has some banter with people who disagree with him, and then he completely retracts his statement and wants the entire ordeal to be over. But that's not how these things work, and it's embarrassing that he continues to fuck up over and over again, without realizing that maybe if he kept his mouth shut for a few hours or even a day, and waited for there to be more information about a topic, and took some time to mull over his stance, then he wouldn't have to constantly apologize for saying dumb shit. It's almost like he's just too lazy to look into these issues, and he's too lazy to take a strong stance, and realize that you cannot please everyone in every situation. There will always be people disagreeing with you no matter what. Evidently, his own fan base has become divided on the topic as well, with multiple threads being created on the Boogie2988 subreddit about his bad takes. He even addressed this in a video about fence sitting where he talked about why he feels that way.
I'm not really that invested in a lot of the things I talk about here on YouTube. Sometimes with the gaming stuff, you know, microtransactions, and sometimes with the personal stuff that's happening to me. But even then, sometimes the personal stuff that's happening to me, it is not a source of outrage. It's not something I'm opinionated about.
Okay, so first of all, Steven, you shouldn't be talking about situations that you don't give a shit about. He basically admitted to the problem here. He does not care enough to know enough about any of these issues to be speaking on them. So I'm not sure why he keeps doing it. Maybe he feels obligated to talk about relevant topics. I honestly just don't know.
The second reason I take that approach is because it's just logical. It's just common sense, right? I could try to speak, you know, about only one side and just quote the things that they have to say, and then it'll please that one side while upsetting the other. I could say only the things that the other side cares about and make them happy but upset the other side. But at the end of the day, what's the point of that? When there's this huge swath of people in the middle that are not on either extremes.
Right, so acknowledging that both sides have their flaws is not being a centrist. In any given argument, every side will have its flaws. That doesn't mean that both are wrong or that you should take a center stance. And if you don't actually care about these issues, then just stop talking about them. As I said before, I don't hate Boogie. I don't even really dislike the guy. And while I suppose I can't know this for sure, I'm willing to bet that most of the people who have been criticizing him as of late are also in the same boat as me. Those of you who keep up with Boogie and all of his tomfoolery may have seen the Reddit mega thread about him, as it was quite popular with almost 14,000 upvotes. The post is extremely long and was quite an interesting read, but after looking over all the evidence provided in it, some of it is definitely up to interpretation, and I honestly don't just see him as a bad dude. I was never a fan of his content really, I've always just observed him from afar, but I personally don't see him as a bad actor in the community or someone who is guilt-tripping his fans or anything like that. In an episode of the Baited podcast, he literally admitted that he was a fence sitter, and he explained why he does it.
When you're there, you're normal. You're just a normal guy, you know?
Right, so what it comes down to is on YouTube, that is the person I want to be. That is the person I'm trying to be. That is the person that I want to be every fucking day. I wake up out of bed and I'm like, I'm going to try to be Boogie today. That's the person I'm going to try to be. And then when I'm on Twitch, I go the opposite direction. And when I'm on a podcast like this, I go the opposite direction. I'm kind of being a little bit more to my 4chan roots, a little bit more to my like shitty sense of humor and my jokes and stuff like that, because I don't know, that's interesting to me. But the person that I actually am is somewhere in between the middle of those, right? But Boogie, the person I am on YouTube, is the person that I want to be every day. That's the person I'm trying to fucking be. That's the idealized version of me.
Here he says that he changes his personality on his channel to be the most ideal version of himself. And while that's a nice thought, how does that make any of his opinions trustworthy? If he's changing his opinions based on the audience that's going to see them to try and seem like the nicest person in the room, then is his opinion really worth anything? I'd say probably not. He is 100% a coward who cannot stand by his own words. As I showed in this video, this isn't anything new. He has been this way for years, and honestly, until he has some serious stances that he's willing to stand behind without allowing people to paint him into corners that he cannot get out of, he's going to continue looking like a dummy. Boogie also tweets about how it makes him depressed that people call him awful shit and it makes him suicidal. Honestly, Chris Raygun gave the best response to this tweet. My guy, I like ya. I really do. But we've all had our share of bullshit. Twitter isn't a therapist. You can't keep treating it like it is. Boogie then said that he thinks him sharing these experiences can potentially help his fans if they can relate to him. And sure, plenty of people can relate to depression, but how many people can relate to being an e-celebrity and being called a Nazi online? Personally, I don't think that Steven should be this open about his feelings with his massive audience. It's kind of unhealthy, and it comes across as fishing for sympathy, even when he's not doing it. Things like this will only further fuel people who genuinely do hate him. And oftentimes, I'd say that the reaction to people's opinions are rather extreme, and in most cases, like the one I'm talking about today, I probably wouldn't care. But if you're not willing to deal with the backlash of having an unpopular opinion in every instance and in every opportunity where you're given a chance to prove yourself, then you shouldn't be having opinions in the first place. Or, at the very least, you shouldn't be sharing them publicly so frequently if you're not willing to stand by what you say. I've been Turkey Tom, and until next time, happy summer, thanks for the recent support, and leave me alone. This video was brought to you by patreon.com/turkeytom. Pledging there will get you access to exclusive patron-only posts like old deleted videos of mine, scripts before I make them into videos, and the patron-only Discord server where we often have voice calls and talk about why Israel has the better claim to the land. All for just $1 a month. Not to mention, you'll get your name credited at the end of every video. Thanks so much to everyone who supports the channel, including Cloudfruit, Stormcolor, Drake Dragsaw, Emo Robot, JMP, Jonah Thing, Just Jargon, Priming, The Face of Team Rocket, ZM4, Spademan, and Staffo. And of course, thanks so much to all of you for subscribing, watching the videos, liking, commenting, and all that good stuff. You all fuel the flames of the Turkey Tom engine. Also, I'm kind of sick, so sorry if I sound a little funny in this video. Alright, bye fellas.
Real tight sweater. Girls look better in a real tight sweater. Tamino on the mic, make the pussy much wetter. Try to get the girls, call the guy go-getter. Tight jeans, the Converse sneakers, and tight sweater. No cheddar, go home and I wrote letters. The college center, so my financial aid's better. You better dead her. Yo, that girl's going crazy. She got a twinkle in her eye, like she wants to have a baby. Maybe I should call her up on a Saturday.